Liverpool, although a lot of this actually doesn't seem all that explainable, and how bad they've been, especially after spending over 400 million on talent. Now, obviously, there is the issue that is much more serious than anything to do with football, which is the tragic passing of Diogo Jota. I must say, I've taught this a lot, and I did a piece at the start of the season. It does feel a little bit jarring to be linking a genuine human tragedy to football results, but this is the context the players are playing in.
The point with Jota, it clearly is a factor, but I mean, this is sort of this is going to sound like a journalist's excuse, and I guess to an extent it is. It's almost impossible to write about. Because it just sounds so, jarring was the word used, and I think that's right. It sounds absurd. It sounds that you're trivialising his death if you start writing about it in terms of what it means to Liverpool this season. And yet it clearly does have an enormous impact. Also, I kind of feel really uncomfortable writing about it, because the truth is we don't know. We can speculate as to what it is meant to individual players, and we have a sort of sense of which players he was close to in the dressing room. But for us to kind of try and guess what that impact is wrong, it's unethical. We shouldn't do it. So I think with any discussion of Liverpool, you have to say this is a factor. We don't really know how it's manifesting. We don't really know how it will manifest, but it is a factor. And then we move on to other things. But it's also clearly had an impact on the transfer policy, because they probably, would have been less likely, I think, to sign two centre forwards had he been there. It forces them to change what they're going to do. And so then you have the situation where you look at Liverpool now and you think, well, hang on, if this was working, what would it look like? Which players would be in their putative first 11? And that's a really difficult thing to say. But maybe that itself has been conditioned by the fact they've had to... And again, this sounds really jarring, and I apologise if it sounds insensitive. I don't mean it to be. They've had to adapt for the fact they've had to replace Jota.